Residents of Durban South have issues around carbon emission by the fuel factories. There's a big refinery in that area. Our reporter Karinda Jagmohan there for us. Karinda, good afternoon to you. The SATREF refinery looks like it may actually be shut in the next few months, but residents have been concerned about it for a very long time.
Absolutely. Stephen, for years, residents in the southern region of Durban have complained about the carbon emissions by the fuel refineries. Remember, SATREF, the South African Petroleum Refineries, is the largest crude oil refinery in the country, located here in Durban. So you can imagine the impact that the pollution from these refineries have on the community that has settled around here. But Desmond, who has been a resident here and also part of the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance, can share more on that. Desmond, just briefly first, the situation for the residents here, what has it been like that has now called on this commission to have this dialogue?
You know, we have seasonal workers that work on major maintenance turnaround at the engine refinery, at Mondi and at SATREF. And they were expecting to, just before the SATREF announced the closure, they were expecting to start working there. And so 4,000 workers were hired already and they were on the refinery. And the very same day they were hired, the very same day at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they were hurriedly called to a meeting and told that they had to leave the plant because the refinery is closing down. Without any compensation. Some of them had long-term contracts, they were not compensated, they were not paid. What's shocking even more is that these 4,000 workers feed another 4 people, which makes it like something about 16,000 people. And coming on top of the engine refinery that blew up on the 4th of December, where thousands of people were left destitute. So we have a community of high unemployment, including a lot of children that are finishing matric and sitting at home. And got there's no hope, there's no work. So one looks at the crime rate in the Osterville Beerbank community is very high. Lots of young youth murders. In the last few months, we've had over 30 murders in Wentworth. Yeah. And that's also related to drugs. So when people are sitting at home, they get involved in drugs, they find new ways of doing things, and all the ills, social ills of the community comes out. And the companies, the big companies like Shell and BP and Engine, who have for years had our people working and maintaining the plants and made huge profit at the expense of our people, have suddenly just thrown them out down the streets.
So it's almost a chain effect, you're speaking about this, towards unemployment and addiction issues even. But this commission about transitioning this community into another era of development, tell me about this and why it's important.
Well, the commission is very important, and I think a just transition is what we need in the country. We need this badly. We need engagement. We need stakeholder forums. We need the community to be involved. Where millions of jobs can be created, but also we can provide, we can start changing the trajectory of a few people owning the corporations. That suddenly business can be developed in local community. I think it's shown in other parts of South Africa, in Northern Africa, where there's huge solar panels, solar factories. Huge amount of employment has been created, and they're supplying the electricity for Europe. So this can be done. It has been proven it can be done, and then you could provide free access to energy needs of the poor. They can access the grid, or the electricity could be far cheaper than what we have now.
So Desmond, this commission essentially speaks to including green energy sources and that type of development and infrastructure here. Tell me the importance of this in this community.
Well, the Planning Commission has a very crucial role to play. I think the idea of a green energy is excellent. It will reduce the pollution completely, not all completely, but it will reduce most of the high levels of pollution. Presently, people are suffering with, and the health problems they're suffering with, like cancer, asthma, and leukemia. So the pollution can be reduced. People will live better life, the quality of life, the air will be cleaner, the water won't be dirty, and the chemicals won't end up in the water and destroy our marine life. So there's a huge industry that can be created out of this that can further help the planet, help people, but also, we can create jobs at the same time. And we all want to see sustainable jobs. We all want to work together to further those jobs. And I think the Planning Commission is the first step. There needs to be a political will amongst all the government ministers who sit on this planning commission. And we need Cyril Ramaphosa, our president, who's been talking about climate change, who's been making the right noises about green jobs, that the money that's coming from Europe out of COP26, that money must be safely guarded to ensure that we do get the green jobs, we do get a green climate change program that can be rolled out in all our communities, and we can change the fossil fuel industry once and for all. We can create a new industry. Ramaphosa can be on the right side of history. The Commission can be the right side of history because it's the first time coming to meet us. So we are excited about it, but we're also cautious. And we also want to say that they will be watching him all the way. And we'll keep fighting. We won't stop fighting until we achieve that, because we know if green jobs are created, if the money is used for the right thing in the townships and things, it'll reduce crime. It'll make people feel safer. But also, it'll get people to trust the government.
Desmond, thank you so much for speaking to us. Basically, encompassing what's happening here at this commission in a nutshell is that SAPREF, one of the largest crude oil refineries that have been operating here for years, is suddenly closing its doors with no plans of decommissioning. Thousands of employees are left without answers of what to do going forward. But now the community is discussing with those here, commissioners here, the Presidential Climate Commission, about what will be the way forward. Who will take over SAPREF? Will they see now the rise of green energy sources, of factories, of refineries that are now, instead of producing oil as sources of energy, are producing something more cleaner that will offer this community employment, but also uplift this community and end a very long time of pollution that they have been experiencing on the ground. Young people speaking about suffering with asthma for years, among other issues. So they're trying to find a way to redevelop this area, the Durban South area, in a more efficient manner with more green, clean energy, as well as to provide jobs for those here. It is indeed an area that is steeped in poverty.
Karinda Jagmohan, thanks very much indeed. An important story developing in Durban.